Hello there, very good evening and welcome to the news tonight here on Sabha TV. I'm Tracy Shilchi taking you through the day's top stories from India and across the world. Let's start with the headlines. The Union Cabinet clears the 7th Pay Commission recommendations. Finance Minister Arun Jaitley congratulates 47 lakh central government employees and 52 lakh pensioners on the historic pay hike. Monsoon session of Parliament to extend from the 18th of July to the 12th of August. Government to push for the passage of the crucial constitutional amendment bill related to GST. Reserve Bank of India says bad loans are crippling the banking sector. Top 100 loan defaulters accounting for 22.3% of such loans. And world leaders condemn the suicide attacks at Istanbul's main airport. 41 people are killed, 239 injured in the attack by 3 suspected Islamic State terrorists. But first, the top national story. The Union Cabinet today approved the 7th Pay Commission recommendations. The decision will raise the salaries and allowances by at least 23.5%, all built around a 14.27% hike in basic pay. Maximum salaries for government officials, in fact, will be about 2.5 lakhs a month. That's more than double the current 90,000 rupees a month. The move will impact nearly 50 lakh employees and 58 lakh pensioners. The changes will be effective retrospectively from the 1st of January this year. The hike, however, is said to be the lowest in the last 70 years and is expected to cost the taxpayer an additional 1 lakh crore rupees annually.
बड़े पैमाने पर बदलाव तो पे और पेंशन के संबंध में जो रिकमेंडेशंस पे कमीशन की आई हैं, उन रिकमेंडेशंस को बाय एंड लार्ज सरकार ने स्वीकार किया है और वो रिकमेंडेशन 1 जनवरी 2016 से लागू होंगी. दे विल बी इंप्लीमेंटेड विद इफेक्ट फ्रॉम 1 जनवरी 2016. And the arrears, since we are towards the end of June, would also be paid in this year. This pay commission covers 47 lakh central government employees and 53 lakh pensioners.
Meanwhile, the monsoon session of Parliament is likely to begin from the 18th of next month. The government has recommended the dates for the session to the President.
मानसून सत्र 18 जुलाई से 12 अगस्त तक 18 जुलाई को बुलाने के लिए तैयार किया है और ये सेशन 12 अगस्त तक चलने का संभावना है. वही बहुत जरूरत आए तो इधर 2-3 दिन आगे भी कर सकते और कम भी कर सकते.
The Cabinet Committee on Parliamentary Affairs has recommended these dates for the monsoon session. The session, which is likely to have 20 working days, will see the government pushing for the passage of the crucial constitutional amendment bill related to GST.
Finance Minister had in detailed discussion with the finance ministers and chief ministers of the states also. Political parties have been spoken to and some of their concerns also are addressed. By and large, I am of the view that we have a wider support and we have enough numbers on the GST, but we would like that every party, because it will have effect on the states also, the government want to get the bill passed by a consensus. That is our effort. We are working in that direction. We'll be talking to other parties who still have some objections or some suggestions to be added, if any.
56 bills are pending before both the houses, 11 in Lok Sabha and 45 in Rajya Sabha. The government has asked ministries to come with at least 25 new bills for the monsoon session. The government is also likely to push for the passage of 3 bills replacing ordinances on the combined entrance exam for medical and dental colleges, as well as the one seeking amendments to the Enemy Property Act. Vishal Dahiya's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Gross bad loans held by banks could touch 8.5% of the total assets next year. What's more, 86% of such loans are taken by large borrowers. The RBI, however, says that India's financial system is stable, although it does admit that the banking sector is facing significant challenges. Here's a report.
Bad loans are crippling the banking sector. The RBI's Financial Stability Report says that from 5.1% in September 2015, gross bad loans of banks jumped to 7.6% in March 2016 and could touch 8.5% by 2017.
If there is a drought, then definitely the income, the resources which an industry or a businessman can generate for repayment of the loan and the interest which he is supposed to do when he is committed to take and make back the payment to the bank is in difficulty.
The RBI report says much of the risk is concentrated with a few large corporate borrowers, a fact that hugely threatens the banking system. Between September 2015 and March 2016, NPA ratio of large borrowers rose sharply from 7% to 10.6%. Top 100 borrowers alone accounted for 22.3%, a massive jump from just 3.4% in September 2015. The failure of the top 2 stressed borrowers could itself result in capital losses of 6.9% and 9.4% if the top 3 stressed borrowers fail.
Banks should adopt the more prudent approach while disbursing and sanctioning the loans, as well as the RBI has recently suggested the few mechanisms which banks should adopt more cautiously and more willingly, such as the CDR mechanism, the SDR mechanism, the 525 rule.
The RBI has submitted to the Supreme Court a list of the big defaulters who failed to repay loans of over 500 crore rupees. But the bank pleaded their names should not be made public because of a confidentiality clause that could impact business. Earlier, a Supreme Court bench headed by Chief Justice T.S. Thakur objected to the prevailing banking atmosphere and noted that big corporate house owners defaulted on loan repayments running into thousands of crores of rupees. Yet, they were enjoying vast amounts of personal wealth.
29 state-run banks wrote off 1.14 lakh crore of bad debts between financial years 2013 and 2015. Now, the Reserve Bank of India has set March 2017 as the deadline for the banks to clean up their balance sheets, forcing them to promptly disclose NPAs and take remedial steps. Even capital infusion by the government is seen crucial to shore up state-run banks. Reporting from Delhi with camera person Sanjay, I'm Kriti Mishra for Rajya Sabha Television.
And World Bank President Yong Kim on Wednesday said that India needs to fix the problem of malnutrition and stunting among its young generation to better compete with the global powers. Kim, who is on a 2-day visit to India, visited a Women and Child Development Center in Delhi where he met children. Kim also assured World Bank's assistance to India in fighting malnutrition among children. He also visited a skills center in the national capital to view the efforts being made to impart professional skills to the youth of the country. During his visit, Kim will explore knowledge and financing opportunities, as well as understand India's efforts on renewable energy and nutrition.
Children who are low height for age, who are malnourished, often don't have the same kind of neural connections as the children who are the appropriate height and weight for age. But this is something that can be fixed. The message I'm bringing here is that with the great things that are happening in centers like this, we can fix the problem of underheight, underweight. The word that is used is stunting, but we can fix this problem here in India, and then India will be prepared to compete with any country in the world.
In more news, the National Investigating Agency or the NIA unearthed a suspected Islamic State terror module in Hyderabad. 11 people have been detained now for questioning. The arrested people are accused of being Islamic State sympathizers. Investigators claim that they were planning to carry out strikes and plan to incite riots across the country. The investigating agency also revealed that these people were in touch with their handlers in Syria. The agency recovered explosives, weapons and cash worth 15 lakhs from them in the search operations across Mughalpura, Chandrayan Gutta, Mir Chowk and Bhavani Nagar in the Old City area of Hyderabad. Earlier this year as well, 14 people suspected to be sympathizers of the IS were picked up from across the country in an anti-terror operation by the NIA. 2 of the suspects were arrested in Hyderabad. With that, let's take you through more updates from across the country in Nationwide. The Supreme Court today adjourned the hearing on the triple talaq issue on the 6th of September. It observed that the issue has to be examined on the touchstone of constitutional framework and in regards with earlier verdicts. Rejecting a plea for restraining the media from holding debates on the controversy, the court also directed the centre to file its response to the petitions within 6 weeks. A number of Muslims have been demanding a ban on the practice of triple talaq, terming it un-Islamic. The Supreme Court also referred the plea seeking quashing of Section 377 of the IPC, which criminalizes homosexuality, to a bench already seized the matter. The bench said that the matter will be listed before a bench headed by the Chief Justice of India for appropriate orders. The plea, filed by some celebrities who belong to the LGBT community, seeks protection of their sexual rights on the ground that it is an integral part of the fundamental right to life. In the wake of the Pampore terror attack in Jammu and Kashmir, 3-tier security arrangements have been made to ensure safe and hassle-free Amarnath Yatra. More than 125 additional companies of paramilitary forces, army troops, NDRF and SDRF teams, as well as ITBP men will be deployed. CCTV cameras and other advanced technical devices will also be installed en route to the cave. Pilgrim convoys will be escorted by the paramilitary forces from Jammu base camp right up to the Pahalgam and Baltal base camps. The Amarnath Yatra begins on the 2nd of July and will continue for the next 48 days. Delhi University will release its first cut-off list on Wednesday night, with over 63 colleges offering around 57 undergraduate courses in science, commerce and humanities. The cut-off is expected to be no less than the previous years. For the first time, though, DU will bring a separate cut-off list with a 5% supernumerary quota for Kashmiri migrants. The admission process for this year is online, and the colleges will have to admit all students who meet the announced cut-off criteria. There will not be any first-come, first-served basis policy. The university will announce only 5 cut-off lists this year. Actor Salman Khan has replied to the notice issued by the National Commission for Women, but reportedly stayed unapologetic for his controversial comment. At an interaction with the media for his promotion of the upcoming movie Sultan, Khan had compared his physical exhaustion on the sets to feeling like a raped woman. The commission had given him 7 days to apologize for the comment that sparked a huge debate. Without a quick break here, we'll be back with the international news in a bit. Stay with us.
Life after death was a cardinal belief in the Harappan civilization. Reflecting this is the skeleton of a middle-aged woman with gold bangles. Excavated from Rakhigadi in Haryana, it's an example of the burial practices in those times. Much like the Egyptian mummies, vessels, eatables, ornaments were kept near the dead body, in the hope that they would be of use to the person in the next world.
Welcome back. Let's get you details of the top international story. 41 people were killed and 239 injured in the worst attack in Turkey's capital city of Istanbul. 3 suspected Islamic State gunmen blew themselves up after police opened fire on them outside the airport security checkpoints. Here are more details.
Istanbul's Ataturk airport reopened partially on Wednesday morning amid tight security, hours after a devastating suicide bomb attack that killed 41 people.
Bomba patlıyor. Öteki kardeşim diyor ki geriye gel diyor. O geriye gelemiyor. Bir yerde patlıyor. Orada çocuk falan yaralanmış işte orada kanlar içinde olunca yardıma koşarken kendisi öyle o şekilde oluyor.
Many passengers were stranded at Europe's third busiest airport as delays remained widespread after hundreds of flights were cancelled or postponed. More than 340 flights of the national carrier Turkish Airlines were also cancelled.
2 bombs exploded, gunshots a lot, and people actually lay down, and there was a panic, of course. Maybe after a few minutes they show us a way to escape, so we have escaped.
3 suicide bombers blew themselves up at the entrance to the international and domestic terminal and in the parking area on Tuesday night, killing 41 people and injuring more than 200. 13 foreigners were among those killed, including 5 from Saudi Arabia and 2 from Iraq. No Indians were harmed in the attack.
कनेक्टिंग फ्लाइट सुबह 6:30 बजे आया था अल्धूरे से, तो वहाँ पे हम पूरा दिन वहाँ पे थे. अभी निकल जाने के बाद आधा एक घंटे में ये हुआ है, तो हम बच गए उसमें.
While no group has claimed responsibility for the attack so far, the Turkish Prime Minister has blamed the Islamic State.
Şu ana kadar tespit edilen vefat sayısı 36 artı 3 canlı bomba. Yaralılarımız var. Yaralılarımızın
World leaders, including United Nations Secretary General Ban Ki-moon, have condemned the terror attack and urged for stepped-up cooperation in fighting terrorism.
Islamist terrorists seek to destroy, divide and kill Muslims as well as Christians and other people of non-Muslim faiths. And it is very important that at times like this, Australians stay united and recognise that our successful multicultural society is built on a strong foundation.
中方强烈谴责这起针对平民的恐怖袭击活动。中方反对一切形式的恐怖主义，呼吁国际社会加强在反恐问题上的协作。
Tuesday's attack was the worst in Istanbul in more than a decade. Close to 300 people have died in 17 bomb attacks and suicide bombings all over the country in the past year. Recently, 11 people were killed in an attack by Kurdish militants targeting tourist areas of Istanbul. The string of terrorist attacks has also affected the number of foreign tourists to the country by about 35%. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
EU leaders met in Brussels without Britain for the first time since it joined the group in 1973. On the second day of the Brexit-dominated summit, the 27 members discussed plans for the UK's likely exit and the way forward for the Union.
As Europe attempts to pick up the pieces after the Brexit vote, European Union leaders met in Brussels on Wednesday. This was the first time they had a meeting without Britain since the country joined the bloc over 40 years ago. On the second day of the Brexit-dominated summit, EU leaders pledged unity as they discussed the way forward. Many leaders have rejected Brexit talks before UK invokes Article 50, which will begin the former divorce proceedings.
Leaders are absolutely determined to remain united and work closely together as 27. We reconfirmed that Britain's withdrawal from the European Union must be orderly and there will be no negotiations of any kind until the UK formally notifies its intention to withdraw.
Earlier, German Chancellor Angela Merkel warned Britain that it could not cherry-pick the terms of the exit negotiations, saying it will lose some of its previous privileges. French President François Hollande also admonished Britain, saying it would lose access to the EU's single market if the UK stopped free movement of workers from Europe.
Les règles sont les règles. La démocratie est la démocratie. Les traités sont les traités. Et il faut appliquer les règles, faire que la démocratie puisse trouver sa conclusion.
On Tuesday, the European Parliament passed a resolution urging Britain to launch the exit process as soon as possible.
All those having campaigned for the leave, they are telling us we need some time. I thought that if you want to leave, you have a plan, you have a project, you have a global picture. They don't have it, but I hope that the notification by the next British government will arrive as soon as possible.
In his last meeting with the EU leaders, British Prime Minister David Cameron said continued trade and security cooperation with the EU was vital for Britain and hoped his successor would have closest ties possible with the bloc.
The overwhelming view was we need to get this right. We shouldn't take too much time, but we need to take some time to get it right. And triggering Article 50 will work better if both sides know what they're trying to achieve in the negotiation.
In Britain, thousands of anti-Brexit demonstrators marched to Parliament after holding a peaceful rally in Trafalgar Square. Britain's political establishment and public have been split since the result, with calls for a second referendum picking up speed. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
However, US Secretary of State John Kerry says that regardless of last week's referendum, the UK may never leave the European Union. Kerry's remarks came a day after his meeting with British Prime Minister David Cameron. Kerry said that the outgoing British leader is reluctant to invoke Article 50, while suggesting that most Leave campaigners did not truly believe in Britain's divorce from the EU, stating that there were many ways for UK to retract the Brexit decision. Kerry said, and I quote, "If the British government invokes Article 50, it will enter into 2 years of negotiations on an EU withdrawal treaty. EU officials have described the process as irreversible once launched, although that is not stated in the treaty text. Legal experts have told the House of Lords that a country would change its mind, albeit with substantial political consequences." The US, of course, is now calling for a calmer debate on Brexit, leading to a deal that would allow a close association between London and Brussels to continue. Some EU leaders, however, insist that Cameron must move quickly to begin divorce talks in order to end the uncertainty. And now let's get you more updates from across the world in Global Buzz. Italy and Netherlands have agreed to split the 2-year UNSC term after both received 95 votes each. Now, Italy will take the UNSC seat for 2017 and Netherlands for 2018. Bolivia, Sweden, Ethiopia and Kazakhstan have been elected to become UNSC non-permanent members during 2017-18. The UNSC consists of 15 nations, 5 permanent and 10 non-permanent members. Former Peru President Alberto Fujimori has requested that his jail sentence be reduced as he has facts to prove his innocence. Fujimori is accused of unfair diversion of public funds to fund ads in newspapers to promote his re-election campaign. Professing innocence, Fujimori said that he was not aware of any money spent on tabloid papers. Fujimori was handed a new 8-year prison sentence last year. Over to the US, where wildfire has destroyed more than 100 acres of mountainous area in Arizona. The area has been evacuated for the safety of civilians now. Several agencies, including firefighters, are using helicopters and air tankers to douse the fire. The reason behind the fire, though, is under investigation. Firefighters also battling hard to control the massive wildfire in California that destroyed more than 20 acres in the El Dorado County. The fire crews are depending on air tankers to control the fire as the area is remote and difficult to access. The entire area has been evacuated. The heat wave and long-term dry conditions are responsible for the destructive fire. All right, sports now. And in cricket, former skipper Anil Kumble formally took charge as the head coach of the Indian cricket team on Wednesday, days ahead of the team's 7-week tour to the West Indies. Interacting with the team, being led by Virat Kohli, Kumble urged the players to inculcate self-belief and develop themselves as leaders. He said that he was confident that the team would do well during the upcoming tour, where they play a 4-test series.
As the training camp for the Indian cricket team's West Indies tour began in Bengaluru on Wednesday, the newly appointed head coach of the team, Anil Kumble, interacted with his team for the first time since taking charge. Leading the team into his first assignment to a 7-week tour of the Caribbean, Kumble urged his players to always show fighting spirit.
I'd like to observe and try and see how the team is shaping up. And at this point in time, I thought that with the bowlers, it's the strategy that I can certainly play a part of, and that's something which I'm looking at. Trying to get closer to the bowlers and understanding what their needs are. Win or lose, the fighting spirit will always be there.
Kumble also exuded confidence of a good tour of the West Indies, the country where he himself displayed exemplary courage on the field back in 2002, bowling with his face heavily bandaged after a bouncer broke his jaw.
The last time that India played, like I mentioned, had a successful series. We won 1-0 in a 3-test match series, and I think Ishant was the man of the series. So there is, experience. He will be the leader, to take the bowling attack. and Virat has already played there. Murli Vijay did well on that series. Amit Mishra has played. So there is experience in this team who have experienced those conditions. Obviously, I have been there before, so I will bring in that as well.
The former skipper, however, graciously skirted the appointment row involving him and Ravi Shastri, saying the success of the team depends on the players, not on the coach.
It's not about Ravi or Anil or whoever it is. It's not about the head coach. It's about the players. It's about the team. And from my point of view, you know, whether it is Ravi, whether it's me, or whether it's any Indian who's following Indian team, we all want the Indian team to do well. We all want the Indian team to perform at its best.
Kumble's appointment ahead of Ravi Shastri had not gone down too well with the former team director. Shastri was the top contender for the job until Kumble became a candidate. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And now let's get you some more updates from the world of sports in Sports Beat. Poland's Agnieszka Radwanska has advanced to the second round of the women's singles event at Wimbledon on Wednesday. She defeated Ukraine's Katerina Kozlova 6-2, 6-1 in the opening round. In the men's draw, defending champion Novak Djokovic eased past French Adrian Marinino 6-4, 6-3, 7-6. Indian shuttlers RMV Gurusai Dutt, Pratul Joshi and Harshil Dani advanced to the second round of the Canada Open. Dutt brushed aside Austria's Digger net 21-7, 21-6 in just 18 minutes to set up a clash with local shuttler Jonathan Lai. Pratul Joshi defeated Canada's Byron Holchek, while Harshil Dani outclassed Canada's Timothy Chew. World number 1 golfer Jason Day withdrew from the upcoming Rio Olympic Games over fears of contracting the Zika virus in Rio de Janeiro. Earlier, four-time major champion Northern Irish golfer Rory McIlroy also withdrew from the Olympics. 9 golfers have withdrawn from the event so far. A statue of Argentina soccer star Lionel Messi was unveiled in Buenos Aires on Tuesday, just days after the Barcelona forward announced his retirement from international football. The statue was uncovered by Buenos Aires Mayor Horacio Rodriguez Larreta, who said that the inauguration of the statue was just in time to call on Messi to reconsider his decision to leave the national team. Former Sevilla boss Unai Emery signed a 2-year contract with Paris Saint-Germain. Emery replaces Laurent Blanc, who parted company with PSG after 3 seasons of being in charge. He was tied with Sevilla until June 2017, but negotiated a release from his contract. Sevilla have appointed former Chile coach Jorge Sampaoli to replace him. And that's all we have for you in the news tonight. From the entire team here, good night.